Hello everyone, welcome to my second video on NISM-Series XXI-B, which is about Portfolio Manager Certification. I'm Vivek Sharma. Having received a good response from all of you on my first video and on request from some of the listeners who have emailed me, I have decided to make the second video on this particular certification examination. So let me tell you that in this video, I have selected a topic which is about psychographic analysis of investors. This is a small part of a chapter. However, it is important from the perspective of exam because typically you may get one or two questions related to this particular topic. So what is psychographic analysis of investor? I'm going to detail it out through a framework in this particular video. I would request you to listen to this video till end in order to understand this subject completely. So let us first of all start by investigating why psychographic analysis is required. Now, what is the purpose of this analysis? So we know that we have typically what is called as the traditional finance or standard finance and behavioral finance. So standard finance or traditional finance assumes investors to be rational, which means all the decisions that investors take is based on rationality. Behavioral finance, on the other hand, does not feel or does not believe that investors or human beings are rational all the time because they have biases and make cognitive error. So, two aspects of finance, traditional versus behavioral, you need to have a kind of a bridge between the two. And psychographic analysis of investor, bridges this gap between traditional and behavioral finance or traditional or standard and behavioral finance. In other words, psychographic analysis of investor recognizes investors as normal human beings who are susceptible to biased or irrational behavior. And I'm sure all of us, kind of agree to this because we have our own biases and we make decisions accordingly. So let me proceed now and talk about a framework which is discussed in the certification module. It is called as the BBK Framework and also known as the Bielard, Biehl and Kaiser framework. Now, if you refer to this framework is basically about two axes, which you can see, the first part of it is from confident to anxious. So you can have category of investors who are anxious and you can have them as very confident. So you measure investors on these two extremes. Where do they exactly fit in? Are they anxious? Are they confident? Or they are somewhere in between? So that is the first aspect that we need to know. The second one is about careful and impetuous. So we have basically these four aspects which kind of create this framework. And as you can see, the one axis is all about the confidence or anxiousness, and the second is about careful or impetuousness. So basis this these two axes, investors are classified into 5 broad categories. They are individualistic, adventurer, guardian, celebrity, or straight arrow investors. So as we proceed, we will investigate each of these investors one by one. So let us start by looking at the first category of investor, which is adventurer. Now, these investors, as the name or the title would suggest, they are basically having their own ideas about investing. So as it happens in our life, we often think that investing in a particular stock or investing in a particular asset class, or investing an X amount, okay, is what we should, actually do. They're confident, but they are at the same time impetuous also. So, they are not, demonstrating only one characteristics. they're willing to take risk, and they do not go to investment advisors because they have their own ideas about investing and they avoid going to the investment advisors. And because they are adventurer, they are by behavior they are entrepreneurial people. So that's the first part of these investors that we need to understand. Let us proceed further and look at the second category of investor in the framework. They're called as celebrities. These celebrities are afraid of being left out, so they want to be part of the investment process, and they want to be part of the group or the herd, if I have to put it that way. They do not have their own idea about investing, so unlike the adventurer who had a clear-cut idea about what they want to invest in, this category of investor, they do not have clear-cut understanding on where to invest in. They do go to investment advisors, but the problem is that they have their own belief. They don't have idea about the investing, but they have their own belief, uh, because of which it's very difficult to handle them. So they are kind of working in with some predetermined or some kind of a belief which becomes difficult to handle. So we have looked at two categories, adventurer and celebrity. Let us move to the next category, which is individualistic. Now, this category of investor, they are confident, but they are not just confident, they are careful, methodical, and analytical in their approach. So they demonstrate multiple qualities of an investor. They do their own research and tend to avoid extreme volatility. So since they have the research, then they have the idea, they have the data. Since they are informed also, they will, they tend to avoid volatility. They are contrarian investors. Contrarian here means that they do not follow the path which typical investors would do. Contrarian being, there's no harm in being contrarian. Your thinking is different from the thinking of the general masses, okay? Because they do stick and think about where they want to go and which investments would make good value sense. So it's a great category to be in, but you need to be very informed, you need to be careful, methodical, analytical. So this is the personality, these are the personality traits of individualistic investors. What else? The next category is very easy to understand, the guardians. And guardians, as the name would suggest, when you are the guard, you protect something. Okay, so guardians are people who are cautiously trying to preserve their wealth. All of us at some stage in our life are guardians. Of course, we are also adventurers, we are individualistic, we are celebrity. It's not that you are into one category all the time. So the guardians will try to protect their wealth. They are definitely not interested in volatility or excitement. So it's like people who have reached the age of retirement or they are approaching towards retirement. They don't want to take a lot of risk and cause destruction of wealth. Now, if you go back to the previous slide and if you recollect, we have looked at five category or types of investors basis their psychographic analysis. We have the investors whom we called as the adventurer. Then we had the investors whom we called as individualistic. We had the investors whom we called as the guardian, and we also had another category in which we had the investors whom we looked at. So now we move to the next part, where the investors who cannot be categorized into either of these four categories, they are called as the straight arrow investor. So they are well balanced people who cannot be placed in the previous four quadrants. That's very clear. On an average, this group of investor is a relatively balanced composite of each of the other four investor types. So if you are demonstrating the traits of all of them, four category which we'll refer to as the adventurer, celebrity, individualistic, guardian, and you are demonstrating all the four qualities, this is what will make you as the straight arrow investor. Now, having said all this and taken you through this aspect, okay, let me put in a quiz here so that you get the gist of this video. And as you can see here, we have a question which will help you get an idea about the video. So you can see Rahul is doing an extensive research for his next investment. He has analyzed multiple data points and has arrived at the conclusion that it makes sense to invest in a sector which has been overlooked till now. Which category of investor does Rahul belong to? We can see here that he is demonstrating all the qualities of an individualistic investor. So we'll put him in this category. So you may get similar questions in NISM exam, and you can definitely read more about in the book, but I think this video will help you get an idea about what is the psychographic analysis of investors. With this, let me thank you all for listening to my video. I'm sure you like this and you will also like my channel. Please write to me on healthofmywealth@gmail.com if you need any help, and I will definitely respond to your email. Thank you so much for your time and hope to see you in the next video.